Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. It is me, I am Jake, I'm here. I have 5 albums to talk about, so I reckon we talk about the 5 albums, because that's usually how this goes. We begin with Fake Names and their second album, Expendables. Fake Names are a band I'm sort of familiar with by way of the fact that they're a punk rock supergroup that consists of members from bands like Bad Religion and Refused and so on. And this is just really good stuff. I covered the last one. I think I gave that one a B+. I'm also giving this one a B+. It's basically what you would expect from a group of like-minded people involved in punk rock. Just really good riffs, very, very solid lyricism as well. It's also performed wonderfully, especially on behalf of Dennis Lyxzén of Refused fame. He's their lead singer. I quite like the production as well, very, very clean as you expect from an album which I think was released on Epitaph. I might be wrong about that. I will correct it in due course. The guitar is very, very punchy and heavy. The lyricism, I know I covered that, and the riff stuff. But lyricism, very political, very good themes of individualism and community, which I quite liked. Structurally wise, it is a bit on the short side, but it doesn't really waste your time, It's a short but really, really fun album with a lot of really punchy stuff, so if you like that style of punk rock, maybe give this one a go. Next we have Haken with Fauna. I can only hope I'm pronouncing the band's name correctly. So, Haken are a prog metal-y band that have been around for about a decade and a half. I first heard about them through a song that came out from this album called Love Bite, which is the shortest song on this album. The album's over an hour fucking long. But you know what, for a prog rocky metal-y stuff, it's a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be, given the genre. I'm giving this one also a B+. I thought there was quite a lot of just really fun stuff on it. I don't know, there was the theme of using animals as a metaphor for the way that humans behave, which I thought was really good. It fits a very nice loose concept. I wanted it to be more of a well-rounded story, but from what was told, it actually worked quite well. The performances are really great. I like the guitar work. The keyboard work is really fucking good too, drumming especially. And you can even hear the bass quite nicely, which is very rare in prog rocky metal-y stuff. Structurally wise, again, it is quite long. It's got 9 songs on it. And they squeeze that, they stretch that over an hour, but it's not stretched too thinly, weirdly, and they do find really fun ways to come around it without being too wankery. The performances are pretty great as well. And production-wise, it's also just very, very clean, so if you like that kind of stuff from your more proggy-leaning stuff, maybe give this one a go. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would, especially considering how long it is. I think it might be the longest album I've covered all year. Yeah, it's definitely worth your time if you've got enough time to set aside for it, because it'll take you a while to get through it. But when you do, you will be happy for it, trust me. Next we have Macklemore with his third album, Bend. So this is his first solo album in about 6 years, and I think his first album full stop in maybe about 4 or 5. And this is going to highlight a thing that I'm going to come to when I talk about the last album of this episode, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So this album sort of has a concept of Macklemore, whose real name is Ben, has the album being titled that, sort of dealing with his own death and his own struggles with alcoholism during the pandemic. And it's not a completely concrete concept, but he does a great job with it. I will give it a B, because I think his performance and his natural charm are very much all over the thing. Then again, I haven't really heard many actual songs from him before this, except for Thrift Shop, which everybody's heard, pretty much. In terms of its production and its beats as well, it leans more on sort of a hip-hop vibe, which goes a little bit dark sometimes. I think it takes itself maybe a bit too seriously, but for the most part it does kind of work. The lyrics do sort of have that concept about them of Macklemore being a bit dark and sad, and from what I understand he has improved over the last albums. I don't know, I haven't heard any other album before this, but I don't know, if he were more consistent with it, and if he didn't veer into the typical traps of his own work, I feel like it could have gone better, but it's still really good stuff for the most part. Structurally wise it is a bit long. It's around about 15 minutes long, but, there was a lot of filler material that could have been taken out. If it had been, I think this album would be great to try. I actually remember liking this a lot more than I first thought I did. And again, a B is still a pretty solid grade, so it's still an album I recommend. It's got really good production, and again, Macklemore's central performance is great. His songwriting has improved, and I do like the beats. It will take you a while to get through it, so keep that in mind. It's not perfect, but man, it almost sounds like I'm giving it a C grade. I've given it a B, and it's got some really good moments to it, but I think the one thing that keeps the B from being a bit higher is the fact that the moments are very few and far between. So, again, bear that in mind when going into this one. Next, we have a debut, Object of Affection, with their first album, Field of Appearances. And these are a sort of shoegazy, indie rocky sort of thing. And I'm giving it a B minus because I definitely remember listening to the album. There was some good riffs. There was a nice lyrical sort of theme, maybe about love or a breakup or something. The performances are pretty good. I don't know anyone who's in it, and the only name I could find was someone named Colin Knight. I have no clue who the hell that is. I have no clue who produced it. The structuring was a lot shorter than I thought it was as well, because I listened to this back and I think I listened to it back once and I was like, really? The album feels longer than it actually is, which I think is the main problem I have with it. It's only about 29 minutes long, so it's not a long set, but it feels like one. You know? Especially compared to like Haken and Macklemore's album, which felt weirdly breezy in comparison. I don't know, like, it's the lowest grade of the episode, and I do still like some of the moments from it, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's pushing too many boundaries. Then again, it's debut, I will give the band the benefit of the doubt. It's still got some really good moments to it. I do like some of the instrumentation. The lyrics, when they do start to coagulate, do make quite a bit of sense. I do find the performances quite earnest, to be honest, but yeah, it needed something more. There was just something that wasn't fully clicking with me. It's not the sound or anything, because I do like the style, but yeah, it needed a bit more work, I think. Maybe a couple more songs, I don't know. Still, might be worth your time. And finally, this is the narrative thing I was referring to with Macklemore earlier. Finally, we have Slowthai with his third album, Ugly. So, people know I like Slowthai. It took me a while to get into him, because I completely missed Nothing Great About Britain, but I have listened to the album and it's really good. I listened to his album from last year, which I think was Tyrone, which is just his real name. This is his most personal album. It's a lyrical sort of concept about his decaying mental state, and I'm giving this an A+. I think this might be one of my favourite albums of 2023 so far. It's something that's experimental for him, because he's not just like doing his usual grimy hip-hop stuff, which he's fucking great at, by the way. He mixes in post-punk and indie rock, and it works. It's like the sort of dark side to Genesis Owusu's Swelling with No Teeth from 2021, you know? Like, it's like that, but it's a lot grittier and a lot more grim in terms of its delivery. It does still have some very good, like, bright spots and some optimism to it. But yeah, no, for the most part, like, the lyricism is about the things that Tyrone has done and how things affected him. And that must have been made worse considering the fact that he got divorced fairly recently, I think. Or he broke up. I don't know which one it is. His performance as well is great. There's no guest stars on this one, which is the first for him, and I do appreciate that it's just really him doing it. The production's great. It adds so many little details, especially when it comes to the more rappy elements. I like that they included rock elements, don't get me wrong, but like the rap and hip-hop focused and grime focused stuff is definitely where the production shines the most for me on this album. And structurally wise, it's really, really well handled too. It's got a really solid pacing. Each song does feel like an individual story that sort of ties around to an even bigger one. I don't really know how to put it, but it's some of the best rap storytelling I think I've ever heard. Each song can feel like a separate chapter, but at the same time it can feel like its own sort of short concepts. It's really fucking good, and I will say it's not an easy listen by any means, and it did take me a few tries to fully appreciate it, so do bear that in mind going in, but I think this is a standout of 2023 so far. So give it a listen for that reason, if nothing else. Before I forget as well, my least favourite to most favourite albums, and again, as always, listen to all of these at least once. We have Object of Affection with Field of Appearances, Macklemore with Ben, Fake Names with Expendables, Hacken with Fauna, and then Slowthai with Ugly. Fucking obviously, because it's really great. But again, give these all at least one go. At least one go. Because you might find something you like more than I liked, so yeah, that's always interesting. And that'll about do it. The next thing I'll see you for will be tomorrow night, more Hi-Fi Rush Let's Playing, and then across the weekend for more of it, and then on Sunday possibly Fight the Night review. That's really all I've got to self-promote, so see you all for that. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye-bye.